Yes, well, Gerard up a game, but having a lot of trouble here in game 2. He has an extorter he has 2 extorters in play, but one of them has both players have 1,000 lashes going.
Wow.
So life totals are going to get small fast.
It looks like Balustrade Spy just went away, I believe, to the corpse blockade.
Absolutely.
Just to get rid of the 1,000 lashes for Tom Ross. So on the board we have a Kingpin's Pet for Gerard Fabiano, although it is under 1,000 lashes at the moment. A Basilica Guards and a Dutiful Thrall. Tom Ross has a Corpse Blockade, a Nav Squad Commandos, a Gateway Shade, and a Daring Skyjack.
Yeah, in hand, he has a Grisly Spectacle and a Zarichi Tiger. Both of those are very good in the matchup. Gerard's going to be really hard-pressed to pull this game out. He doesn't have his blue either. So it looks like an attack with the Battalion.
And that'll untap the Commandos. So we've got 9 points of damage coming over, 9 points of power coming over. So Kingpin's Pet can't do anything. Dutiful Thrall looks like it's getting in the way of the Commandos. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Extort is a triggered ability, isn't that correct?
Yeah, Extort is a triggered ability. So yeah, it will happen under 1,000 lashes. Extort is going to happen. That's correct.
Dutiful Thrall declared as a blocker. Looks like Gateway Shade is growing by just 2 there.
Just 2, he's leaving a Grisly Spectacle mana up.
And
or Zarichi Tiger, one
Thrall
of the 2.
regenerates.
And then you see Zarichi Tiger. Gerard taking a hit for 3.
Yes, should fall to 9 here.
From Devour Flesh, it looks like with 2 extorts.
Actually, yeah, he got hit with the shade too.
His in response to the Zarichi Tiger. Oh, he's Devour Fleshing himself?
Oh, very interesting.
Yep. Okay,
yeah.
that's fair.
To keep the lashes off.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is in this matchup, you don't, right here in this board, you don't really want to Devour Flesh your opponent. Gerard's only game plan is to bleed Tom out of the game. With extra extorts, giving Tom extra life is really scary. That said, if he can't deal with Zarichi Tiger, bleeding Tom out of the game is pretty difficult.
Yeah. So what's in Gerard's hand?
It looks like he has a Vizkopa Confessor as the last card he has in his hand. Pretty good. Remember, he could get a Grisly Spectacle from Tom if he had cast it. I believe that's there.
There's just 2 cards in Tom's hand after the draw, and now just 1. Looks like Tom's going to go ahead and get in with, looks like everybody, besides obviously the Corpse Blockade, which can attack.
Skyjack doesn't untap.
Yeah, Skyjack stays tapped, but the Nav Squad Commandos does untap, and Grisly Spectacle from Tom Ross is going to try to chop the head off of the Basilica Guards.
Right. And this is going to be a world of damage here. Tom really pushing in hard.
So
we see Luminate Primordial
off the top. Just 1 card to mill there, but that was a big one.
Yep, so he has a block and a regen. And that will be 8 damage, dropping Gerard to 2. Remember that card off the top of the screen is a Corpse Blockade. See Armored Transport, Bane Alley Broker. Yep, and we'll be going on to game 3. So
we're going to get to see a full game between these guys.
Yeah. We have Gerard Fabiano and Tom Ross currently playing for a spot in top 8. Also, Antonio Baldassari and Todd Davis. They're both in Pod 1. Losers of their first round still have a second chance at it. They will also be playing for top 8. So kind of how it breaks down is your top 8 is going to be almost a redraft of Pod number 1. It's going to be 5 players who are in Pod 1, joined by 2 players from Pod 2, and then the lone winner of Pod 3.
Pod 3, right. Very interesting.
And yeah, that's actually fairly common at long Grand Prix for that pod number 1. Usually half of them go into the top.
Right. If you're just joining us, we are coming to you guys live from Grand Prix Charlotte, the largest Magic the Gathering tournament ever. I'm just not getting tired ever of saying that. It's awesome.
Yeah, we're actually almost at the end of the tournament. We are around 16 of 17. 17th round, actually, we'll have almost our entire top 8 at the end of round 16. We'll have 7 of the players. There will be 1 match, the finals of Pod 3, to get that last spot in the top 8.
We should watch that one, I think.
Almost positive it will be our match for the final round. Remember, that one, if you watched us during our drafting, that Pod 3 pretty exciting. The matches in the semifinals of it, we have Frank Scarron, Will Craddock, Pat Cox, and Bobby Victory all vying for that last spot.
Pat Cox the Wildest Nakatl. He actually owns the art for Wild Nakatl as well.
The original artwork?
The original artwork.
That's
yeah.
excellent.
It's pretty cool. His Twitter handle, Wildness Nakatl. He's playing Boros today, and at least currently he's playing
right.
Boros. And speaking of Pat
We have been
Cox,
informed. Speaking of that, Pat Cox, Frank Scarron defeated Pat Cox 2-0. So Pat not in the top 8. So possibly we might still see Bobby Victory. He's playing Will Craddock for that other spot.
we're gonna check on that. If we get any
still in
information on
pod
that,
3.
we will report it. So really exciting weekend for Magic. Not only here in Charlotte, but up in Quebec. The top 8 up there has already been set, and I believe it may be underway.
Yeah, what's pretty exciting, I've actually noticed, and maybe this is a streak under threat right now. Last pod we drafted with Ben Stark and Patrick Sullivan. Both those players in the top 8, both 3-0'd their drafts. Bobby Victory and Gerard Fabiano also currently undefeated in their draft pods. We haven't, so far drafting on camera has been a really big boon to players. No one's lost after doing it.
Well, there's a Thrall Parasite for Tom Ross. And a Basilica
so currently
Screecher.
we're in top 4 over in Quebec at GP Quebec. So if you're interested in the standard format, you can bounce over there. Their top 8 will finish just about as our top 8's beginning.
And Basilica Screecher going to get in for 1 for Gerard.
Yeah, we have Duskmantle Guildmage with an Extort, it looks like, coming from Gerard. He does not have his 3rd color online, but he's doing a good Demir impression for right now.
Yeah. And I believe just a little while ago we saw Duskmantle Guildmage on camera alongside a Consuming Aberration from Gerard. That's a nice little combo. Consuming Aberration, pretty ridiculous card on its own.
It's a White of Precinct 6 from Tom Ross and an Extort back. So they're going to be trading Extorts. Right now, Fabiano with the advantages, he certainly is. He has the larger creatures. Tom Ross's team, a pair of 1/1s.
Yeah, White of Precinct 6 not looking very fly for a white guy.
Yeah, Tom's deck, with only limited number of ways to activate White of Precinct 6, he does have 1 Balustrade Spy. He has 1 Grizzly Spectacle. Outside of that, it doesn't look like many of his cards naturally put things in the graveyard, so it's a pretty mediocre card for him. The card can naturally become good in the late game, but in Orzhov Mirror especially, sometimes creatures never die.
Kingpin's Pet for Gerard Fabiano, and he's got 2 Extorters now on board.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty dangerous. Gerard finally hit that white source. He's firing on all cylinders. So Tom's going to need to race. He's going to Grizzly Spectacle the Kingpin's Pet with no Extort. There's a chance if he hits enough creatures here that he could have a very large white.
Yeah, and he hits 1.
Hits 1. Interestingly, we have Guildscorn Ward coming down for Fabiano. I think after seeing the 1,000 Lashes, he felt that was a reasonable sideboard.
So the white now at 2/2 gets in alongside
actually
the...
a 3/3.
I'm sorry.
It's
the Bane Alley
by
broker.
both of
Right,
them.
exactly. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's always confusing because you say, oh, 2 creatures, it's a 2/2. But no, you actually have to add 1, which kind of makes the card a little interesting.
Yeah. What keeps throwing me off is I keep reading it fast and seeing 6 +1/+1 counters because it's White of Precinct 6 gets +1/+1 or something, or 6 +1. What? How big is it?
Gerard accepting the invitation to race. He bashes back for 3. That'll put Ross down to 12 life, and then he's going to play Orzhov Keyrune Extort. So despite the fact that Tom Ross grew his White of Precinct 6, Gerard really with an upper hand.
Yeah, and the Thrall Parasite, mainly just there to extort. I mean, it's just a 1/1 with extort. The other ability is kind of secondary in this particular match. Being able to remove a counter from target non-land permanent. But interestingly, kind of hoses Simic a little bit.
Miami 10K players, a scorekeeper.
A Plains for Tom.
Okay, so first loss in one of our camera matches, Bobby Victory, actually 2-0 was defeated by Will Craddock. So in one of our other matches of top 8 implication.
Salt Griffin comes down for Tom, and Extort is taken advantage of, and the Parasite and the white coming across yet again.
Right. So the flying blocker is going to stop the beats from Basilica Screecher. Tom's starting to stabilize here. Remember, he has the larger creatures. He really just needs to make sure that he doesn't get extorted out. In response, we're going to see a Devour Flesh from Gerard Fabiano. A little late of a card. I think he had to opt whether or not he wanted to extort with it. The problem is he has taken damage already from the white, and now Tom will get the opportunity to extort. Got the opportunity to extort with Throw Parasite, so a little late there.
Well, Throw Parasite is the chosen sacrifice for Tom Ross, which I don't think is a surprise
Seems
to anyone.
like the correct one. Gerard drawing a second blue source. His hand is Island, followed by did not catch the other one. Interestingly enough, that Island is his 7th land and will allow him to activate both modes of Duskmantle Guildmage.
7th mana source.
Yeah, sorry, 7th mana source, not
Right,
land.
6th land, 7th mana source, right. And he plays a Mind's Eye Drake.
Mind's Eye Drake with Extort.
With Extort, exactly.
So that's going to set up a nice defense for him. Now that Tom can't attack, as long as he can hang on to the defense, Duskmantle Guildmage can do a lot of milling here.
Yeah, we might see that Guildmage doing the majority of the work.
Right, that's certainly
Tom can't
the
deal
main
with it.
target of Tom Ross right now.
Yeah.
The card he needs to take care of.
He's got a black card in hand. I don't know if it's removal, but
His hand, yeah, he has 2 planes, it looks like, and 2 unknowns.
a black card. Does he have Syndic of Tides? Is that what that is? I don't know. It's a white card. He's moving it to the front. It may not even. No, it's a Zerichi Tiger. That's something
That's actually an excellent card here.
Gonna help him. So he plays the Tiger.
Because of the life gain, Gerard, if he draws an 8th land, instead of going Activate Mill, might opt to go Mill. Because of the fact that Zerichi Tiger is very hard to race on this board. Milling 4 a turn, not a fast clock, but not an unreasonable clock either.
Kind of comparable to a Grim Lavamancer sometimes, where you feel like you're doing a 10th of their life total, while you know doing 4 or milling 4 a turn is kind of a 10th of their deck.
Exactly.
So, although the good news on the milling front is they're doing some damage for you by drawing a card every turn.
And you untap. So Gerard's going to play Basilica Guards with Extort. Opting to do that over a Duskmantle activation.
Yeah, so he's just going to pass.
He doesn't have double white, so he can't leave up that key rune. Either way, Tom's got plenty of time. If he can draw into a kill spell, he either needs a threat, a way to deal with Mind Eye Drake, or he needs a way to kill Duskmantle Guildmage, and then I think he'll assume fairly good control of this game.
Gateway Shade for Tom Ross.
Yep. Remember, Tom with no extorters in play, he's really just playing a creatures deck. He also has a Prophetic Prism. He's opting not to play, possibly waiting for. I mean, it's not worth the
creature. Just
extort creature. Also, the Zerichi Tiger activation is more important than the immediate cycle.
Right.
Gateway Shade's a pretty good card here. You can pump it up to a 5/5 beyond his current mana. Syndicate Enforcer double extort made by Gerard Fabiano. It puts Ross down to 9. And at this point, Gerard will be able to bleed every turn. When he draws any card he draws, will be capable of a triple extort. If he draws a land, he'll be capable of making a mill 2, lose 2 play. So he'll be able. Zerichi Tiger will need to be tapping every turn. Gerard debating now if he wants to attack with Mind Eye Drake.
That's a Godless Shrine, not a gate, right?
Oh, you're absolutely right. You can only pump it to a 4/4, not a 5/5.
That's what I was.
Good call. You see that duel, and you're like, oh yeah, he taps duels for 2, but no, you're right. It's a Godless Shrine. So Gerard decides it's better to stay back. I like that. He has a lot of inevitability going on.
Right. He's presenting a huge defense, and he's got the extort.
That looks like a Prophetic Prism for Tom Ross played up off the top of the screen.
Maybe we can get them to shift the cards a little bit onto the screen, just make a little bit more room.
Interestingly enough, so here's what I would like as a play here. Gateway Shade is going to attack as a 5/5. So right now he can't block it. Eventually he will want to chump it. He can make this cool play if he has 3 mana up of leaving back Mind Eye Drake for a... if he has all his mana up, he can just leave his mana up and negate Tom's attacks, because if Tom attacks, he can double activate Duskmantle Guildmage and then chump with Mind Eye Drake, mill Tom for 5, make Tom take 10.
Wow, yeah, that would be huge. Yeah, so
in that situation, right, it's like...
Yeah.
He can present a lethal bow, he can make his blocking suddenly lethal here. It's like one of the few situations where Mind Eye Drake's ability becomes really good.
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool, Mind Eye Drake alongside the Duskmantle Guildmage, but no blocks there. Looks like the Gateway Shade got in for 4.
And so yeah, spells will get triple extorted and lands will probably just be cast. Lands will turn into Duskmantle activations.
Right.
So Gerard will have great plays every turn for the rest of this game.
And his Prophetic
Prism with a Drain 3 attached to it and a card.
And this is negated 3/4 of that Gateway Shade attack.
This is where Orzhov just becomes silly.
Yeah,
with how good
that
it is.
many extort. It's just it's like this critical mass of extort creatures that just make things ridiculous.
And so now
He's
Gerard,
gonna
he's pushing.
attack.
Yeah, I mean, he's gaining 3 a turn. He doesn't have to be that worried. Tom Ross drops to 6. We'll go right back to 8. He's playing his lands and his cat.
Land off the top, I believe, for Tom. I think it was a Plains.
Right? Tom in a really tough situation. He doesn't have too much late game going here. I mean, he does. He has a shade, but it's not competing with what Gerard's doing.
Now he can 1, 2, 3, 4. He can pump the Gateway Shade up to 6 now because of the Prophetic Prism. That's as big as it gets at the moment.
He's swinging with both fires, able to attack back with Assault Griffin. He needs some way to interact. The biggest problem is that Gerard has just as good of a life game and engine online as Tom does right now.
If not better.
Right.
So it looks like Shade was pumped to the max, right, to 6.
Yep, using Prophetic Prism was able to become a 6. And Gerard drawing a land. Looks like he has yet another spell. He's going to start with...
He's
we'll see.
playing around with the Syndicate Enforcer and the Mind Eye Drake. Both appear to be preparing to attack. They're sharpening their blades.
Yep, so both attacking. Tom will probably trade the white for the Syndicate Enforcer. I don't think he has really a choice in the matter.
Yeah, I don't know that the white's doing him much good at this point. Anything, not much better than just preventing some more damage there. So it looks like
Gerard happy to trade his triple extort possibility just for double extort. Makes another land.
7, 8 mana.
8 mana for Dinrova for 2 extorts.
Double extort, yeah. And that's going to
We're looking for Andrew in standard red box
bounce
number
the Tiger. Of
34.
course, the Tiger's going to be activated here.
Gaining
In
2.
response, put Tom right back up to 6. And now Tom Ross, even in even more trouble, draws a Swamp. I still like your. I kind of want to see him.
You wanna see that
not-
Mind Eye
not
Drake
attack
play?
with Mind Eye Drake.
He's like,
leave his mana open and be like, yeah, come on, Shade, bring it.
Yeah, so the Drake's pretty cool that way. Right, so we're going to see... He is leaving an opening. Gerard's dropped his life total a little bit lower than I think I would have liked to in this situation.
Now, is Tom, was he empty-handed or?
No, he discarded a plane. So he's had
Okay.
planes and Night Watch in hand. So now
Okay.
he has Cat, Night Watch, and the card he just drew.
Okay. So Assault Griffin and Gateway Shade both coming over. Looks like the Shade is going to be
Legacy 17 and draft
chumped by the,
36.
well, presumably chumped by the Basilica Guards, or just maybe they're just going to hang out for a minute.
Right, so interesting move. Gerard's losing a lot of his extort power. I'm not in this situation. I think he's opting to play. I'm not sure if it's actually that's better than just chumping with Dinrova Horror, as odd as that sounds.
Draft 123.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. It feels like he'd almost rather keep the extort guys out. He's only got 1 now, right? The Basilica Screech.
One extort. So now, his ability to deal that last 6 is kind of is a little in danger.
Yeah.
Maybe not. So Night Watch is going to make 2 blockers. Gerard can push 3 damage, 4. He has 5 damage on the table right now. He has 3 in the air and then 2 with the Guild Mage if he taps out, but it's that 6th damage that he just doesn't have yet.
Gerard is empty-handed, though, I believe.
Right. I believe so as well. Yeah, so Tom, he can put Tom to 1. What we could actually do is if he makes the 3rd swing with Duskmantle Guildmage himself, that's lethal. If he just swings, he swings the entire team and just activates the Duskmantle
Right.
Guildmage twice, that should work.
Yeah.
Because something's going to have to hit a graveyard from somewhere and Tom's going to block. These things are going to
Exactly.
trade.
So,
And,
but he looks like he's being kind of conservative. He does have a card in hand now.
I mean, there's only one card. That's a game-winning line. If Gerard finds it here, I don't see,
Yeah.
the most thing that Tom could have is a smite. That doesn't really solve the problem. Yeah, Dustmantle Guildmage's second ability, by the way, says whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, that player loses 1 life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's swinging. Yep, so he's looking at what's going to happen here. He's laying out blocks. It looks like he's found that. So if he finds it, this should be good. Check it out.
And I think he's just going with the 2. So the Mind-Eye Drake and the Basilicus creature, I think. Oh, he's still thinking. He's still looking.
Right. Right, and I do think he does, I believe, have Tom dead on the board here.
And it has to be put in an opponent's graveyard.
Yeah, so no, he actually, I think he had him dead there. But he didn't see it. He didn't see it. Yeah, so and correct me on the line if I'm wrong on this line. If he activates, swings the team, activates the Guildmage's second ability, and then mills Tom for 2. Tom's taking 3 in the air, 2 from the mill for 2, and any block that Tom makes will cause a knight to die, and that's point number 6.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I believe that was a
right.
lethal swing.
I mean, the knights don't, they disappear, but they still go
They
to
still
the
hit
graveyard.
for an instant they're there, and then state-based effects kicks them out of the graveyard.
Right.
We see 2 more attacks from Tom Ross.
Assault Griffin and Gateway Shade again.
Gerard should be fine here. He still is in a really commanding position.
Grand competitor, that is time in round 16. I repeat, that is time in round 16.
It looks like Gerard's going to, end steps we'll definitely at least see the end step guild mage activation to mill and damage.
Just to get a little bit more, yeah.
His worry here would be that his opponent would draw something like Merciless Eviction or something that actually gets him. Now, I think that would, because it exiles everything. There are things he could draw that actually would save.
Yeah. Gateway Shade just pumped to a 4/4, so that's. I would have activated the Guild Mage just to get that 1 there, and then
Urbis Protector from Tom Ross. Gerard on end step has damage you for 2 with Guild Mage. I think he's pointing that out. So
Okay.
Gerard Fabiano wins here, 2-1 over
Wow.
Tom Ross. That will put Mr. Fabiano into the top 8.
Excellent.